Hey guys, George at SoundTraxx. This week we're going to show you a couple of the audio tools that we have built into the Tsunami2 that help you get the best audio quality out of your installation with the speakers you've installed. So let's get started. So with Tsunami2, we've improved the audio quality of our recordings and the digital playback of those sounds through our Tsunami2. Now, one of the biggest limiting features whenever you're doing a decoder installation is the type of speaker that's being used. And this is where you want to look at the wattage and the frequency range of that speaker and its physical capabilities. Now, one of the things you'll look at is a lot of our speakers that we're using in our small models tend to be tweeters or considered tweeters by audio standards. And so when you think of bass and subwoofers, you think of these big giant speakers that are fairly large, and that has to do with the wavelengths, because lower frequencies need a much longer and deeper speaker travel to be able to reproduce those. So when we get speakers into our models, we really can't get that low end like we'd really want. Now, the benefit is with the SoundTraxx Tsunami2, we have several tools to help you optimize that audio so that you can match the speakers that are inside your model train. Now, to start with, we'll talk about the different types of speakers you can choose from for the installation. Now, at SoundTraxx, we have several different types of speakers that you're seeing right now that you can choose from, and the frequency range and specifications of each of those speakers, along with the speaker size and dimensions and so forth, so that you can pick the best speaker for your installation. Now, when we load our sounds into the decoder, we give you the full sound spectrum. So this is all of the lows and all of the highs, but our speaker limitations limit how much of that sound that we hear. The other side of it is when the speaker is trying to reproduce a frequency below its frequency range, it kind of gets to a point where it's pushing against the maximum edge of where it can go. And so therefore, it not only wastes energy, but it can potentially distort some of the other sounds that the speaker can do. So the first tool we're going to look at is our 7-band equalizer. I know this is something that we've talked about in the past, where you have control of each of the 7 bands throughout the frequency range, so to make sure that you can adjust that to maximize the speaker. Now, in this particular model, you guys have seen this installation a few years ago, where we installed 2 mini cube speakers and 2 of our 30mm round speakers. So with our cube speakers, we're able to reproduce down to 100 Hertz. Now, looking at our equalizer spectrum range, you can see that the first lowest frequency is at 62 Hertz. So we can filter that out and take that out of the frequency range because we don't have a speaker that can physically reproduce it. Now, the next up is 125 Hertz, which we know we can do. So we can boost up that a little bit. And with those 2 cubes working together, you're going to get that boosted sound coming through this audio that you can hear. Now, as you go through the range, they double all the way up to 4K. And you can adjust these. So the way it works is you have a range from 0 to 255. 0 being complete full cut or a 12 decibel cut, all the way up to 255, which represents a 12 decibel increase. 128 is right in the middle, flat or no change. So now to hear that, I'm going to go ahead and turn on our locomotive. And now this is the flat or no change. And as this is a brand new reset decoder, with the exception that I have gone through and set up the frequencies in our 7-band equalizer. So now you're hearing the audio of this locomotive as it would be just flat or no change. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable the equalizer that with the presets that I've already put in, and I'm going to take CV225 and set it to a value of 7. And now you can hear some of that lower frequency being stronger, coming through a little bit better so that you can hear it. So now the next tool we're going to talk about is our high pass filter, and this is set in CV224. Now what the high pass filter does is it will actually completely filter out everything below a certain range, so that way your speaker, again, is not trying to reproduce a frequency range that it physically can't. So this defaults at a value of 20, which will cut some of the lowest frequencies, but really doesn't cut off a lot of the low end. So if you did have a fairly large speaker that can reproduce it, you can still hear it. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and unmute my audio. And to show you the effect, I'm going to take that high pass filter, I'm going to turn it up pretty high. So we're going to take it somewhere around a range of 100. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take CV224. We're going to set that to a value of 100. And when I press enter, you can hear how a lot of that low frequency has been filtered out. Now, obviously we've got our low frequency being boosted, so we want to hear some of that back. So we can take CV224, we can adjust it again. I'm going to try it out here at a value of 50. You can hear how that low frequency has come back in a little bit. Now what I recommend you doing at this point is to run your locomotive back and forth, kind of get a feel for it, listen to the sounds, and then adjust that high pass filter to match your tone so that way you get a good quality audio out of your decoder. So guys, I hope this has been helpful for you. If you need any further information on this and other features of the Tsunami2 decoders, be sure to check out our website at SoundTraxx.com. Click on Reference and you'll see a link to manuals. Click on Manuals, click on Tsunami2 Manuals, and check out the Steam, Diesel, and Electric User's Guide for information on this and all the other features you can get with our SoundTraxx Tsunami2.